Hi, I'm Peggy Branningan, and I have the privilege to be the Director of Environmental Sustainability at LinkedIn. And I'd like to share with you some of the great things that our organization is doing to approach this transition from a fossil fuel economy to a clean energy economy. Some of you may have seen that in January of this year, LinkedIn joined Microsoft, our parent company, in making a series of really bold industry-leading pledges throughout this year. In January, we announced that both our companies are going to become carbon negative. Now, what does that mean? That means that carbon neutral is no longer enough. We measure and report and manage and reduce our carbon emissions, and we offset that amount in investments in good quality offset projects around the world. But we want to do more because we know that some organizations are not in the same position that we are to address carbon. So carbon negative means that we are going to reduce and eliminate emissions in our operations, in our supply chain, which is huge, in our business air travel, and in our employee commutes. In addition, the really kind of jaw-dropping piece of this pledge is that we are going to remove all of the historic emissions that both our companies have put into the atmosphere since our founding. Now, for LinkedIn, that means everything that we've generated and produced and put into the atmosphere since 2003. For Microsoft, that's a bigger mountain to climb because they've been in existence for 50 years. So I'm really excited to be part of the team that's working to address this. And the second pledge that we came out with has to do with biodiversity. We use land, and we are keeping track of how much land we use, what is our footprint, and we will, again, offset an equivalent amount of land by investing in reforestation, afforestation, all kinds of good projects in sensitive areas around the world. On April Earth Day, we made our third announcement, which is that we will become a zero waste operation in our largest campuses in the next decade. That really takes a comprehensive look at all the different materials that LinkedIn uses in our data centers, in our operations, and in our supply chain. And we're looking at how we can reduce construction waste with a pledge to reduce and divert 90% of all waste away from landfill. Also food waste, material waste. We want to be wise stewards of the resources that are so precious. The last pledge that we made was for Climate Week. So we recently announced a water positive pledge. So water positive means the amount of water that we use in our operations across all of the globe. We will track that. We will manage this precious and scarce resource wisely. And then we will invest in all kinds of projects to restore watersheds to the same extent of replenishment as what we use. So those are our goals. And so my job in my role is to help build out the roadmap and collaborate all across our internal operations, reach out and engage more deeply with our suppliers and also our customers so that we can all be embarked on this journey together. The most impactful thing that we can do, though, as a company is look beyond our four walls and say, what is the contribution that LinkedIn can make to climate action that no other company can make because of the truly unique assets that we have? And for LinkedIn, that means how can we tap into this media platform that engages almost 700 million people now? Probably many of you have profiles on LinkedIn, and you've been involved in our jobs marketplace. You've looked at our data insights about trends in the economy. You may have used our LinkedIn Learning courses to build skills and build your career. So we do truly have some assets that we can deploy more intentionally to help be an engine to accelerate growth in this transition from a fossil fuel economy to a clean economy. Our data can inform governments and job seekers and employers what are the new and emerging, exciting green jobs that are coming into the foreground, and what skills do they require. And then our data can also inform about all of us, the global workforce. What skills do we already have? Where are the gaps in order for all of us to be prepared to take advantage of this job growth? And so it's truly exciting time for me to be in this position. And I welcome, input and ideas and positive energy from everyone. We are truly all in this together, and we have about a decade to make a tremendous pivot to build the kind of future that we all want to have and that everybody deserves. As I approach my role as the director of global sustainability at LinkedIn, I'm very aware that it's important for me to individually take responsibility for my own carbon footprint, my own water footprint, the goods and services that I purchase and the dollars I spend, and make sure that in my daily life, I'm truly living out my values, and I'm truly using the power that I have and the assets that I have to make a quantified, significant difference and be an authentic champion for the environment. My husband feels the same way, fortunately. And so we've really taken a look at all the different things that we do during a typical day and what ways that we can kind of reshape those and make sure that we're protecting the planet while we're taking care of our own well-being. We live in California, and water is a scarce resource here, as in many other parts of the world. So we do simple things like we have a bucket in our shower, and as our water is running to warm up for that shower, we're capturing that water and then we're reusing it in different ways. Similarly, we think about the food we eat in our diet. And I think probably all of you have seen the reports and the scientific data and the information about how our menu that we choose is probably the single most important thing that we can do. If you only take one action for the planet this year, the most impactful thing you can do is eat more plants, vegetables, fruit, grains, and eat less beef and lamb and meat in general. That doesn't mean we all have to become vegetarians. My husband still enjoys meat occasionally, and I still eat fish. But what it does mean is that we have the power to eat delicious things that are super healthy, but have a lighter touch on the planet. And, it's because of the carbon that's involved in the raising of livestock and the big water footprint as well. So we do pay attention, and we're learning a lot of great new recipes. I'm making some really good soups right now. The other thing that we're really critically aware of right now is plastic waste. And, you just have to read the news and see the images of this rotating huge island accumulating out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, that's full of plastic, and that plastic is disintegrating, and it is entering the digestive systems of all the marine life, and it's killing them, and it's causing acidification in the ocean, and therefore it's killing the coral reefs. Our green team just viewed a really well done but disturbing film called Chasing Coral that I can highly recommend, that talks about how we are putting pressure on the ocean and wildlife, and plastic's a big part of that. Anyway, so what do? You go to the grocery store and everything's wrapped in plastic. Well, we're being very intentional about, when we can, buying in bulk, taking our own bags, buying the items that have the least packaging, because it's not only better for the environment, it's healthier for us. This last year, we bought a very cool electric car. It's a Nissan Leaf. Would love to have a Tesla someday. My husband is a big fan of the power cars. We lived in Europe for 12 years, and he had the chance to go to Italy and, jump into a Ferrari temporarily. So we love that kind of fun. But honestly, in terms of responsible action we can take for the planet, it's a really good idea to investigate electric vehicles. And I will tell you, the first time that we sat down and pressed the accelerator in our little Nissan Leaf, and the torque, it just took off just like a power car, 0 to 70 miles per hour in seconds. So you can still have some fun and do good for the environment. We're getting bids right now for solar panels for our home's roof. And we're also looking into the storage option for that because the price has come down quite a bit. And then it's just simple things. As I said, I lived in Europe and I had the chance to live in Amsterdam. So my commute for 7 years was by bike. And it was so inspiring as an American to be surrounded by all these Dutch people from age 3 to 93 who just had, a wonderful commute by bike. And so we've brought that practice back to California with us. And I bike whenever I can. In fact, very rarely do I actually need my car. I have my Oma, my Dutch Oma bike with me here. Honestly, though, I would say I think the most important thing that I can do and that other people can do to support this, precious protection of our environment is to vote. Don't give up that power. That is a superpower. And I'm going to be voting soon. And I'm going to vote for candidates who care about the environment and will take action to protect it for all of us. And I'm going to vote for policies and regulations that do the same. It's hard sometimes to watch the news and really absorb what's happening in front of our eyes in terms of the planet that we live on. You look at the air pollution, the water pollution, and also what's become increasingly clear is the injustice in terms of who is suffering the most around the world from the degradation of the environment and from the use of fossil fuels. So sometimes it can produce a feeling of helplessness, certainly anger at myself and at everyone else for, letting this happen on our watch, but we're not powerless. And I do derive a lot of inspiration and excitement and optimism from my peers in sustainability and from scientists and from celebrities and from politicians and from friends who are really authentically, as I said, putting their actions out there in terms of supporting their values. And so I guess my first inspiration is my husband, because he is a NASA astronaut. And we had the chance to experience his career in Houston, Texas, where all the NASA astronauts train. And then, of course, the flights launch from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And he had 4 space missions. And the one that was most inspiring for me was called Mission to Planet Earth. And so he was able to take thousands, tens of thousands of images of different types of the Earth. And it really showed the changes that have taken place in the last 30 years since the last time some of the images were taken. And, just brought home to me the threat that the planet's under now. A very thin atmosphere protects us, and it's being bombarded with toxic pollution. Forests and glaciers are disappearing. It's our responsibility, and we have to own that. And those images really bring that home. And he is really taking that message out publicly now. He's a public speaker, and he's sharing his concerns and what he's seen and what we know about the solutions that are there that we can call on. I'm also inspired by some celebrities, and sometimes it's just kind of fun to be part of the momentum that they're building, get outside of our, sustainability bubble. So, for example, Zac Efron. Some of you may hear that name and think about something like High School Musical, which is part of his resume. But he's doing something interesting right now. He was filming, very pre-COVID, episodes in different key places in the world that each feature an environmental topic and focusing on solutions, giving people hope, saying, get on board with this, clean energy, clean water, a great food, sustainable farming. And so that's kind of a fun and educational way to reach an audience that doesn't want to do a serious deep dive with all the scientific data, but wants to be part of something positive. And then I'll share with you, I just got a book in the mail that I ordered. It's called All We Can Save: Truth, Courage, and Solutions for the Climate Crisis. It's edited and authored by a number of fantastic women in the environmental movement, and people who are reaching audiences that are outside of the choir. So for example, Katharine Hayhoe, who some of you may be familiar with, who's a professor in Texas, and she's able to reach out and speak to a crowd that has been skeptical about climate. But she has a very compelling message. So for people who are, we would say religiously conservative or politically conservative, she is a really effective spokesperson. And then I'll just close by saying probably my all-time hero is Al Gore, and he's still going strong. If you are not aware of what he's doing right now with the Climate Reality Project, please check it out online and sign up. He's built an intensely powerful deck called The Truth in 10 that talks about climate, what's happening to our planet, what we know we can do about it, and then how to gather the political, spiritual, physical will to be someone taking action as a champion. So I draw a lot of inspiration and positive energy from people around the world, the scientists who work hard in the background without a lot of glory to provide the data for us so that we have a clear view of what our situation is. And then the people in politics and in business and in the nonprofit world who take that information, that data and science, and help us build a roadmap to solutions. And then all of the people who don't have, any of this sustainability content as part of their day job, but they're going above and beyond in their extracurricular activities, in their volunteering, in all of the things they do outside of work to reach out to neighbors and friends to spread the message. It's that important. Everybody's contribution is powerful, and I look forward to seeing, some momentum growing as we move forward. Thank you for this opportunity, and go green.